Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So the main thing we're going to be discussing today is the new update for the Avatar Legends role-playing game. But before that, I suppose there's mainly some merchandise stuff to get through, and we'll start here. So LOL subjects have, I guess, confirmed at this point that the Chibi Figures, the Chibi as they're called, are now out at the store 5 below. So we get, I suppose, finalized pictures of these as we go through here. So here's the Aang, here's what the Aang looks like, there's the Zuko, pretty nice, there's the Sokka, Katara of course, Toph, and at least someone on Twitter was able to go to their local 5 below and find these things. Now, I didn't see a price on them, but I'm guessing that because it's here, it says 5, they're 5. Whereas I think most places that have these up for pre-order, it's like 10. So if you want to get these things, go out hunting for them, because for 25, getting like a lot of the main cast in pretty nice chibi form seems really cool, actually. So very, very interesting to see with these ones. Again, I don't think I will ever see these things in a store here in Ireland, so it's one of those situations where, like, do I just go and like pre-order or order them somewhere? I don't know. It's one of those ones where, like, I'd maybe like one of them. I actually think Sokka to me is maybe my favorite of the bunch. Though the Katara is good as well. I think I like most of them, except obviously, like, I get why they did it, but like obviously Book 1 Zuko is never my favorite. Book 1 Aang, even though Aang's like my favorite character, I do wish they would, you know, cool it down a little bit with the Book 1 Aang a bit. But, you know, just to know that these sort of much cheaper, smaller chibi figures are actually out there now, or coming out, depending on where you've ordered from. Next, going back to the Avatar: The Last Airbender loot crate. So this is not the, I suppose, the first one. This is the like actual loot crate. I covered this when it was first announced, but since then, they have revealed what looks like effectively everything you get, at least in the first box. Now, the first box I don't think ships until, crate 1 ships between June, so early June is when this is expected to ship. And you can see here, it shows you everything that you're actually going to get in it. So we're going to be getting an exclusive Sokka t-shirt. You can see here we're going to get the Katara collectible bust, which is part 1 of a series of 4, because you can see the base that she's on is sort of a part of like a ring. And then if we connect this to, what it says here, you can see the Katara is clearly this one. And then the Zuko and Toph are also parts of the ring. And then the Aang is the circular base in the middle. So this is going to be a very cool set of 4. From the 4 crates. That's going to look cool. So book 2 is going to be Earth. Crate 2 is going to be Earth, 3 Fire. Crate 4 is going to be Air. And together that will make up your pretty cool, you know, kind of a diorama of these kind of busts together. And I hopefully they'll continue and do more. And we'll get the later designs and stuff like that. But you get the premium t-shirt. This, along with some other stuff. You can see here you get a Water Tribe pin here with the Water Tribe symbol. You get a Katara necklace, obviously not going for the crazy accuracy perhaps, but you know, something that resembles it at least. You get the Tui and La socks in Water Tribe colors, which is very nice. And then you can also see the sort of Sokka Chibi cactus juice sort of water bottle. And I think that's pretty much everything. Now, that seems to be about usual for these kind of specific kind of franchise crates. I believe people got their first version of the other crate, the Nick Box Avatar crate. And again, it was pretty similar. From what I could tell, it seemed like on par with this, except, surprisingly, they didn't end up actually having, as far as I could make out, any sort of a figure. It seemed like the figure that they basically had there was the snow globe thing that they showed off. but they had a very cool clothing item. I thought the kind of zipped hoodie that they had for that was actually really cool. Otherwise, like I think this is a better set of items overall, is what I would say. But we'll see how it goes between the two different crates. I have actually subscribed to this one, so I guess I'll be doing an opening when this does arrive. Continuing on the merchandise, this is just to basically highlight some merchandise that I feel like no one's really talked about, but has been out there for maybe a little bit. So this is just on ToyWiz. They seem to have listings for a lot of stuff, basically everything Avatar. So there's this company, Jinx, which is doing these, what are they, 1.5 inch minifigures, and I don't think there's any actual picture of what they look like, but this is obviously the concept of them. It's these pretty small figures of at least these three characters. Yeah, it looks like it is just the three. So again, kind of basic, but you know, if you are interested, there's something that could look cool. Similarly, there's also these. Let me open this up. So you can see these, what are they actually? 3D foam bag clips. And they're obviously done in mystery box style here, as you can see. So it looks pretty good overall. And you can see here, there's like an Aang, Katara, Sokka, Zuko, Momo, Appa, Suki gets a figure, Jet gets a figure, as does Iroh, Toph, and you also got sort of like a glider Aang. So Suki getting a figure is kind of cool, because like the only like Suki merchandise is really like the Funko Pop. Jet obviously is starting to get some merchandise, but not too much. Same goes for Iroh, but for the most part it's a lot of the main cast that you would expect. Let's open this up actually, just see what's going on here. So they cover that, and then it looks like there are, the way they're doing it is that there's like exclusive. So I guess these are the commons, and then it looks like Glider, Aang, and Toph are like the rares of this thing. Again, it seems pretty cool. Like if I actually see these, I probably would grab some of them just to give it a go. Obviously, it's not something like I'd go out of my way to order the full pack of 24 for, but you know, if you see them, like it seems like a very cool thing. Again, there is a weirdness around this because it's like 2022 and we're doing this like wave 1, book 1 Avatar stuff. There's a weirdness to that, in that it feels like everything should be moving towards like Avatar Legends, and there should be a blend of Avatar, Korra, and other avatars. That might happen eventually. We'll see what happens, but just to be aware of that. As for the Kickstarter, so we get update 26 here, which is called Wan Chi Tong PDF and Core Book Updates. So the Wan Chi Tong Adventure Guide is the other book that we're going to be getting if you have backed the Kickstarter. They're currently finalizing the PDF preview, so it's going to be done in a very similar style to the core book, where we'll get a book that is basically 99% the final thing. It'll just have to go through the sort of, you know, basically, you know, error correction process right at the end, but will mostly be done. It'll give you, in the Wan Chi Tong Adventure Guide, you'll find all the adventure books, all the unlocked playbooks, and all of the unlocked legends, plus some all new content on Wan Chi Tong and his amazing library. So the adventure books obviously are, these are the things like the Vanishing Act thing from the core book and the Forbidden Scroll. These are the more set stories that they sort of set you up with most of the NPCs and guide you through the story if you don't want to make it up yourself. The playbooks are basically the character sort of classes in the game. So there's extra ones in addition to what's in the main book that will be in here. So that will at least mean some, I guess, new art for these other playbooks on top of the ones that we already have in that book. Unlocked legends, so this will be where like the likes of like Suki, Mei, a lot of the other characters that we unlocked over the course of the campaign will be included as NPC legends, which at the very least will mean there'll be like a cool image of these characters next to like the idea of how you play them in the game. But the thing in terms of more of a lore information perspective is this: all new content of Wan Chi Tong is his amazing library. Now, given that we now have context for the way they do the sort of settings stuff over the course of these books, I'm very intrigued to see how they actually go about doing this, in terms of like, is there just a random section on Wan Chi Tong? Is it going to be a little bit of a spirit world guide that happens to focus on Wan Chi Tong? that has me sort of intrigued. Or like, is it just like as one of the adventures happens to feature Wan Shi Tong? Who knows? But either way, they're saying new content, and when they said there would be new Roku content, they delivered on it. It was really, really good. So they seem to be setting up that there might be a few little bits and pieces elsewhere, but the Wan Shi Tong stuff in this book is actually going to be the really exciting thing. So we'll see what's going on there. And then they're saying a lot of people have been asking about sort of like the play materials, like where is sort of like the blank fill-in version of the playbooks that you can just sort of like print out. They're still going through the layouts on them, and they will be available soon. You'll receive the files in exactly the same way as the core book preview, and so on. There'll be a feedback thing for the Wan Shi Tong Adventure Guide, and then, yeah, they're not specifically saying, I suppose, when this is starting, but they're doing the thing once again where they're saying, if you don't have it by April 1st, so you will have your Wan Shi Tong Adventure Guide before the end of the month. So based on the way the core book worked, that means we'll be waiting until probably the last few days of the month for this to happen. Maybe they'll, surprise us, and we won't have to wait like a bunch of weeks for this to happen. But I think that's probably the way it is going to happen. Now, interestingly, they're not saying a specific date on when it will start at all. They want to, I think, avoid what happened with the first couple of days of the sort of rollout of the first PDF, I guess. But it'll be interesting to see when they actually go around to like saying like, okay, the process is actually beginning to start like now. Will it still be only like 4 or 5 days beforehand or not? Now, as for the core book, again, we got a preview version of it. It wasn't fully complete. Thank you so much for all your hard work and reporting typos and errors. We've sent this to layout to ensure the changes are made. Once it's finished and the final art is imported, we'll have a beautiful new PDF to send to you. And again, you'll get an email about this for the finalized version of the book. Again, not really saying when it's going to be, but I guess that I guess these two things are going to be happening roughly similar, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, and then they just say, in terms of the All-Star actual play and the development on the virtual tabletop, we'll get to that once they're done more with the other things. Pretty solid update. They did what they needed to do. I suppose we're more familiar with the process now. I do wish there was a little bit more of a sense where like they could actually give us previews in terms of like, hey, you'll get the Wan Shi Tong Adventure Guide in 2 weeks, but here's like a look at something of note from it, just to give you a teaser to go off for the next few weeks with. But they have, for some reason, been unable to do that. The same goes for a lot of like the physical items. I get it, they have to go through approvals and so on, but it would be nice if we did get more of a preview of what those, the finalized version of those things were actually going to look like. But, it's the update I think we knew we were probably going to get. Perhaps wish there was a little bit more of a clarity about you should get the core book finalized version by this date, and then a little bit more on the Wan Shi Tong Adventure Guide beyond just saying the last date you should have it is like April 1st. So, they're just the usual frustrations of like they can't seem to fully lock in, I guess, timelines on things, but it's sort of understandable. So, I think that's pretty much everything. Other than that, we're still waiting for the kind of big announcements to happen. We're still waiting for like the comics that I guess, I'm hoping, I guess, we'll get at least one more comic with a date that is this year. We're waiting to see what happens with regards to like, will they finally clarify when Beast of the Four Nations is coming out? That should be an end of year book, assuming they get around to properly announcing that. Avatar comic, Korra comic, novel. When are we going to get a novel announcement? Chronicles of the Avatar style stuff. There is obviously the potential that the Comic Cons, as we go through the months here, do maybe present the first pieces of Avatar Studios information. Beyond that, it feels like merchandise stuff will happen, and in the coming weeks, I guess we'll be getting maybe preview pages for the free comic in May, and we might eventually get preview pages for the Chibi comic and Patterns in Time. assuming they stop changing dates consistently. Again, those usually are like a month, maybe 2 months beforehand. We'll see about that. So a lot of waiting still, but hopefully we're getting towards more exciting times for the fandom. But in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on all that merchandise news that I went through, as well as the build-up, I suppose, to the Wan Shi Tong PDF. What sort of information do you think we're going to get? Because I find it very difficult to kind of think of what exactly is going on here. Are they just going to tell us like what the status of the library is in each era, or is there going to be anything more than that? But that has been it. That's the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.